The moment my father tossed the old brown passbook into the trash, the sound it made was softer than paper should ever sound when a lifetime is folded inside it. Sunlight poured through the kitchen window that morning, catching dust in the air, and for a second everything felt painfully ordinary. Then his words landed like a verdict, dismissive and sharp, telling me that the gift from my grandfather was useless, outdated, nothing but a reminder of a past that never paid the bills. I stood frozen, staring at the trash can, feeling as if something living had just been buried while still breathing. My grandfather, Harun Malik, had given me that passbook on a quiet afternoon years ago, under the shade of a neem tree outside his modest home. He was a man of routines and patience, someone who believed mornings were sacred and money was only meaningful when it protected dignity. He never spoke loudly, never boasted, but his hands told stories of decades of work and sacrifice. When he pressed the passbook into my hands, he told me it was not about the amount written inside but about learning to respect what grows slowly. After his death, that passbook became my last physical connection to him, a fragile bridge between who I was and who he hoped I might become. My father, Cameron Malik, lived in a different rhythm. He believed survival meant speed, shortcuts, and visible success. He measured worth in modern things, digital screens, and immediate returns. To him, a handwritten bank passbook from an old savings account was embarrassing, a symbol of poverty he had spent his life running from. That morning, with daylight spilling across the floor and the smell of tea still lingering, he reduced my grandfather's careful planning to trash. I wanted to scream, but instead I waited until he left for work, then quietly retrieved the passbook from the bin, brushing off coffee grounds and shame at the same time. I decided to go to the bank that very day, not because I expected anything extraordinary, but because I needed to prove to myself that my grandfather's faith in patience had not been misplaced. The city was alive under the sun as I walked, vendors calling out, buses groaning, people chasing their own urgencies. The bank building stood tall and cold, a place where emotions usually dissolved into numbers. As I stepped inside, clutching the worn passbook, I felt small, like a child bringing a crayon drawing to a gallery. The waiting area was bright with daylight filtering through glass walls. When my turn came, the clerk's expression shifted subtly as he examined the passbook, his surprise carefully masked by professionalism. He asked me to wait and disappeared into an inner office. Minutes stretched, my heart beat loud in my ears. I began rehearsing apologies in my head, preparing for disappointment, reminding myself that even if the account was empty, the journey itself mattered. Then the bank manager, Farida Qureshi, came out herself, holding the passbook with both hands as if it were something fragile and rare. Her face carried a seriousness that made my stomach tighten. She led me into her office, where sunlight fell across neat files and a small potted plant. She explained that my grandfather had opened the account decades ago under a special long-term savings scheme, one that accumulated quietly, untouched, earning compound interest year after year. He had made small but consistent deposits, never withdrawing, never missing a year. As she showed me the figures, my vision blurred. The amount was far beyond anything I had imagined, enough to change the direction of my life entirely. But more than the money, it was the intention behind it that overwhelmed me. My grandfather had believed in me long before I had believed in myself. He had planned for my future in silence, trusting time to do what noise never could. Walking out of the bank into the afternoon sun, the world looked different. The same streets, the same people, but everything felt lighter, as if a burden I had carried without knowing had finally been named and lifted. I realized then that the passbook was never about wealth, it was about values. It was proof that quiet love can outlast loud doubt, that patience can outgrow pride. When I returned home, I placed the passbook gently on the table, no longer as a defenseless relic but as a testament. My father saw it, and for the first time, he did not dismiss it. The silence between us was heavy, but it was a different kind of weight, one that carried reflection instead of contempt. I did not need to say anything. The truth had already spoken through years of ink and careful planning. In the days that followed, I used part of that money to enroll in studies my grandfather once encouraged me to pursue, and another part to secure our family's needs. Life did not suddenly become perfect, but it became purposeful. I learned that respect for the past does not trap you there, it can propel you forward when you finally listen. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who still believes small efforts do not matter. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because sometimes the quietest stories carry the loudest truths.